In 1762, the Lenape Indian prophet Nolan had a vision. The Great Spirit spoke to him, telling him that the European settlers must be driven out of the Indian lands. The Great Spirit said that the Indians must return to their former way of life, abandoning the customs and practices that they adopted from the Europeans. Nealon spread the word of his vision throughout the Mississippi tribes, and there it caught on and grew. One of Nealon's notable followers was an Ottawa war chief named Pontiac. Today is the 10th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The readings today draw our attention to the differences between the states of unity and division. In the first reading, we hear of the first division between God and man. Adam is hiding from God. Adam has sinned. Adam's sin divides himself from his Creator. The sin makes Adam aware of his nakedness, as well as damaging the relationship he has enjoyed with God. Then he makes it worse. Adam blames his sin on Eve, causing another division between himself and his helpmate, his equal. And the division widens. Eve sidesteps her sin, blaming it on the serpent. In the time that it takes to read the passage today, the unity enjoyed by man, woman, God, and creation are divided. The Indian nations took the prophecy of Nealon to heart. Many simply returned to their old ways, hunting with a bow and arrow, wearing animal skins instead of garments made of European cloth. Pontiac took a different path. Focusing on the British, he began to unify the nations for war. Pontiac used the prophecy to convince 18 tribes to unite, to drive out the settlers and the British. The Ottawa, the Potawatomi, the Huron, the Chippewa, the Shawnee, the Delaware, the Seneca, the Mingo, the Mississippi, all became involved. They would capture 10 British forts. They would defeat one of the British best generals and do away with many settlers. The united tribes found themselves more formidable than individual divided tribes. In the gospel today, we hear that Jesus attracted a following so large that normal daily activities came to a stop. Jesus is constantly teaching and healing, and the scribes that came from Jerusalem to gather reports for the Jewish officials began to attribute Jesus' ability to drive out demons as something done in concert with the devil. Jesus is not intimidated by their accusations. He asks them to explain how he can drive out demons if he is in partnership with them. He points out that if members of a family work against one another, the family will fall apart. He says that in order to take away the power of the strong man, that is, the devil, one must overcome him first. Jesus then says something remarkable. All sins and blasphemies will be forgiven, except the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. Then Jesus' family arrives seeking to take him home. And when Jesus is told that they are outside, he makes another remarkable statement. Whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother. As Pontiac's rebellion continued, Pontiac attempted to enlist the French as allies in the fight. The French refused. It was the first division of Pontiac's unified alliance. Then Pontiac's Confederacy received a fatal blow. The Shawnee, Delaware, Mingo, and the Huron suffered a decisive defeat near today's Pittsburgh. The other Indian tribes faltered. They broke away from the Union and made their own deals for peace. Pontiac's attempt to bring the Indian nations into a unified nation began to crumble. The unity that he sought was coming to an end. In the second reading today, Paul writes to the Corinthians that they have attributes that unify them. They all share the same spirit of faith. That faith tells us that the Father who raised Jesus will also raise us. He assures them that the trials of this life are but a temporary inconvenience as we remain unified in our faith and trust in Jesus. Pontiac finally sued for peace. The unity that he sought was divided into nothing. Pontiac was reduced to a wandering icon. He was seen in settlements when he came to trade, to drink a little, and to talk a lot. He became a solitary hunter, divided from his own people. He was murdered by an Oneida. The readings today warn us against division, offering us a united path that leads to Jesus. The first reading demonstrates that disunity with God leads to separation with God, damaging personal relationships with others, our community, and the world. St. Paul's message to the Corinthians reassures us that God wishes to be united with us and desires to restore the unity lost in the sin of Adam and Eve. Following the vision of the Lenape prophet Neolin, Pontiac attempted to unite the Indian tribes of the Mississippi Valley. Their unity was short-lived, and their faith faltered when adversity appeared. Being divided, each tribe acted alone, without the strength that unity offered. We have the same choices that they did, and Jesus makes the options and the consequences clear. Today, Jesus speaks of the unforgivable sin. It is the sin of refusing to accept the love and the forgiveness of God. It's a sin that leaves the sinner alone, condemned to an eternity divided from God. Today, Jesus says, "Whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother." Jesus offers this union to all people, families, communities, and even the world. He has come to reunite what was divided. He asks us all to come and join him, leaving the divided places in our lives for the perfect union that he offers. It is a gift to all who welcome Jesus and accept his gift of life.